welcome back to another episode of Comic Confidential, the weekly podcast where we bring you the hottest comic book, movie, and TV news. I'm your host, Cade, and alongside me today is one very happy birthday boy, and that is Troy.
That's me. Happy birthday to me. I had my birthday last week, man.
You sure did, buddy.
You were there. You know what happened.
You were a glorious sight.
Yes.
You know, you don't look a day over 21.
1,000 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, look, I did turn another year older, and I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Definitely feeling it. Every year that goes past now, it's very much a, oh my God, I'm legitimately one step closer to death.
Well, I guess that's every day of your life.
Well,
mate.
every day, but, you know, when the year ticks over and you've got to, like, you know, if you're like, you know, when you have to sign up for things and you have to put in your date of birth and stuff like that and it spits out your age, or, you know, I've been to, like, nightclubs and stuff, you know, we've been, where, you know, you have to hand them the ID and they put it into this machine and it brings up, like, it flashes up your whole life story in front of you. And it's just there, right, in big, bold, black numbers, your age. And you're like, I should not be here. I should not be in this goddamn club. I haven't done that for a while.
I went out for our work Christmas party this just last night.
Yes.
And that's why my voice is a little bit raspy, I guess.
Yep.
I did some karaoke.
Oh, nice.
Did
nice.
it very poorly.
What was your jam?
I was very surprised that they had Humble by Kendrick Lamar on there.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Nice.
I absolutely killed it. As in, I slaughtered it.
As in, that song will never be the same again.
Never, ever.
To anyone that was in that room that heard it.
And boy, oh boy, I was very humbled by my performance.
Moving on. It is Christmas time as well. So, Merry Christmas, you guys. If you're just joining us, welcome to the show for the very first time. You've joined us at Christmas. So, Merry Christmas to you and your family.
What a gift to get yourself.
This podcast into your ears for free. Give it as a gift to your family members as well. Why not do that?
That'll be great.
Yeah, that's what you want to unwrap on Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas morning. Here, I got you this thing. Mum, it's called a podcast, and it's about two guys and they swear a lot, and it's about comic books.
Well,
my God, thank you, son. You're the best.
I don't think we swear that much, do we?
Look, I think we swear enough.
I didn't realize there was a quota.
Well, if I'm being honest, I think we could swear more because I am involved in our regular life conversations and I know there is a hell of a lot more swearing. So we're toning it down for you guys. It is Christmas time, so we don't want to get, you know, too sexy.
Yeah, we want to keep it cheerful.
We want to keep it cheerful.
We want to keep the coal out of our stockings and we want that good present.
Exactly. What are you doing?
For Christmas?
Yeah.
I'm having you over.
Well, you know, I know that. But, you know, as this is an audio platform and people don't know what's happening and they're not live with us in this room, what are we doing? Eating. All right, fine.
Eating,
Move
drinking, spending time with friends and family, Troy.
Yeah, exactly. You are my family.
You are mine too.
Excellent.
You are my dad.
Yeah, I am legitimately your dad.
Yeah.
Everything has been building to this moment, Cade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What a revelation. What great content.
When I first signed up to do this podcast, I knew that come episode 102, it would be the prime opportunity for me to reveal to you that I am actually your birth father.
That explains a lot.
Speaking of I am your fathers, we are talking about Star Wars today, The Last Jedi. Now that is a segue. This movie, holy crap. I'm going to put a big goddamn triggered sign onto the top of this episode because no matter what you feel,
it's wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong. No matter how you feel about this movie, whether you love it, whether you hate it, whether you're indifferent, you are wrong. To someone out there, you are dead set wrong. So we are going to have some opinions on that later. We'll get to that at some point. But goddamn, I did not think this would be the movie that would cause this much controversy.
It's unbelievable. But you know what, Troy? Let's get into some news.
Let's do it. Now, after getting our first look at Brenton Thwaites as a Robin a couple of weeks ago, we now have our first look at Alan Ritchson and Minka Kelly as Hawk and Dove from the upcoming Titans TV series. What are your thoughts?
This is badass.
Yeah.
This is amazing, man. I am so pumped for this TV show. These costumes are genuinely next level.
Yeah. It's kind of like a take that Arrowverse.
Absolutely.
You want to wear like nothing but leather? We've got actual movie-worthy costumes here.
100%. And these look amazing. I want to see how they kind of go in real life. We'll see them moving around, see how they actually function. Because, I mean, still images don't really tell the whole story.
Yeah. I mean, you can make it look as good as you want to. You can touch it up, Photoshop it, whatever you want to do. So we will see. We'll see fairly soon. I don't have the release date. I don't think there is a release date yet. It is sometime in 2018, I do believe. This is kind of like this new generation of stuff, because if you look at Black Lightning as well, if you look at Black Lightning's just opening costume,
amazing.
That thing looks amazing, and we haven't seen that yet. That lands mid-January, I think, January 16th or something.
Yeah, well, I was watching DC's Legends of Tomorrow just recently, and they're starting to show promos on that. So I'm looking forward to that. That one, I don't know how I'm going to feel about that suit with the whole thing lighting up the whole time, though.
Yeah.
Like, it could just be a little bit too comic booky, which, sounds silly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
You want it street.
Yeah, I want.
You want it Arrow Season 1.
Yeah.
Just basically wearing a hoodie.
That's all
like
I want.
Like a pleather hoodie. Yeah, look, I don't know. I think it looks great, though, and I am looking forward to it. But this Titans TV series, like, from what we've seen so far, this could be the one. This could be, this legitimately could be the TV show that puts the film universe to shame.
Absolutely. And I read that Brenton Thwaites is actually playing Nightwing. So we're going to see him turn from Robin into Nightwing.
To me, that says you have to have a Batman.
There has to be.
Like, is there any other way you could get around it without having a TV Batman?
Or this is Robin has just left Batman.
Right.
And we're going to see him slowly turn over.
Right. Unless they team up with with FX. Is it FX? No, it's Fox. It is Fox's Gotham.
Yes.
And David Mazouz is somehow Brenton Thwaites' 14-year younger mentor.
Makes sense.
Skinny Bruce Wayne. I have not watched that show for the longest time, so I don't know how it's going.
It's great. It really isn't.
Excellent. All right, let's move on. Now, Kevin Feige has gone on the record to say that Thanos will be the MCU's biggest and baddest villain to date, and viewers are expected to find that out within the movie's first 5 minutes. Now, do you think Marvel can pull off the impossible and actually give us a top-notch villain?
Wow, I was like really confused. Like, I didn't think Thanos was going to be the biggest bad guy. Like, thank you for coming out, Kevin Feige, and clarifying that for me.
Well, look, I think what he's trying to get at is that you will know that the stakes are high within the first 5 minutes of this movie. You will understand how much of a threat this guy is within the first 5 minutes, which is interesting because, you look at, 2.5 hours of Age of Ultron, or you look at, 2.5 hours of Avengers, whatever, all of these movies that have had these kind of, almost, like, I don't want to say weak or anything like that, but like, as we all know, Marvel hasn't been known for developing their villains. They want to develop their heroes. They say the story is about the heroes and the villains are secondary. He's kind of saying they're flipping the script on that one.
Yeah, right. Well, Thanos is his own like special breed because he's kind of been teased for the longest time that this is going to be the big bad guy. So he's kind of had this, I guess, untold backstory half told.
Yeah.
So people who aren't like uber nerds who don't really know Thanos, they kind of know that this guy's a big bad, and when he shows up, it means business.
Yeah, but Marvel have kind of put the pressure on themselves by building that up for so long.
Absolutely.
Because now they're at a point where, we've seen underwhelming villain after underwhelming villain after underwhelming villain, and the underlying villain amongst all of that has been Thanos, like right from back when he first appeared. So now they've got this thing where it's like, all right, here is Avengers Infinity War. This is the guy you've been waiting for the whole time, but I don't know if they can actually deliver on that.
The hype is large.
The hype is very large.
Do you think they can do it? Or do you think it's kind of going to be there's something in the middle that will, just get you over the line?
Look, I think it's going to be impressive, and I think the movie is going to be on a scale that we haven't seen before. And I think it'll be, like, I think the movie itself will be epic or inspiring, whatever you want to call it. Like, I do have high hopes for this movie. I would not say that my hopes are based around Thanos as the villain, though.
Yeah.
I would say just the spectacle and the fact that we're getting 60-odd heroes, thrown together, and we're going to be in New York, and we're going to be in Wakanda, and we're going to be in space, and we're going to be here, there, and everywhere. Just the spectacle as a whole will be, this kind of epic sort of thing. But the Thanos as the villain itself, no, not particularly. I don't think it's going to be as good as we think, or as good as they're kind of building it to be. You?
I kind of agree.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think the spectacle is going to be, I guess, the real hero here, not the villain. So, as you know, that sounds crazy, but it makes sense if you listened.
Yeah.
But you know what? Time will tell, mate. Time will really tell on that one.
We will see. We will certainly see. And speaking of time will tell, Gore Verbinski's long-gestating Gambit movie will reportedly begin production next March in New Orleans. The film will shoot for 70 days in the city, among other locations, and is expected to have a budget of $155 million. At this point in time, Channing Tatum is still attached. Nothing else really except for their 2019 release date for this movie. Any surprises with the budget? $155 million they're throwing at this thing?
That's massive.
It is massive.
For a Gambit movie. We got a really amazing Deadpool movie for $55 million.
Yeah.
This guy isn't like the most awe-inspiring X-Men character. The guy throws playing cards around.
Hey.
And he has a trench coat on.
Gambit is one of my personal favorites.
Hey, that might be so, but do you think a $155 million movie is worth it?
Look, I guess you could say Disney is taking a bit of a gambit here, right?
Wow.
I got nothing to add. Look,
you know what? I think Fox has a little bit of money left in their X-Men kitty. This is probably one of the last movies they're going to produce. And they're kind of like, you know what? Let's fucking just get it done.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know whether this is going to, because it depends on the merger, and I don't know whether it's going to be, as part of the Disney deal or whether it's still going to sit with Fox. I don't think it was part of the MCU, obviously, because it's, it's an X-Man and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think it's going to cross the line and be part of this Disney merger or anything like that by the time it comes out. So it is interesting, though, that they're willing to throw this amount of money at it. Like when you look at things like other sort of origin stories, it is in line with it. So Ant-Man was about $10 million less. I think Doctor Strange was about $10 million more. So it kind of sits where it's supposed to sit. But you think 10 years ago, if you had said, we're going to throw $155 million at this movie, you would have gone, holy shit.
Yes.
But now when you've got 300 million Justice League movies and stuff like that coming, and we're going to talk about The Last Jedi later, which doesn't actually have an announced budget.
We're going to speculate on that.
Well, yeah, we'll speculate on it, but it's kind of like $155 million does seem like a lot, but it's also kind of, it's 2017. It's very much in line with what they would spend. It's just it's taken so long for news of this to ramp up. It's kind of like, meh, it's a lot of money to spend on something that you guys have been talking about for years and have never actually done.
Exactly. It's been on the shelf. It's been off the shelf so many times.
Yep. Now, Deadline has reported the first official casting news for Amazon's upcoming live-action adaptation of Garth Ennis's The Boys. Erin Moriarty from Jessica Jones and True Detective Season 1 has reportedly been cast as Starlight, the teenage superhero who joins the Seven early on in the comics. You like this casting?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, this is amazing. That's a perfect fit.
Yeah. Look, it is. It's good that we're finally starting to get some casting news, because there was reports for a while that, we hadn't heard anything for so long. So people were kind of starting to think that maybe they had just shelved this idea and, they weren't going to do it anymore. But then Amazon came along and said, nah, we're buying this and we're ordering 8 episodes, like an 8-episode first season. So now we're starting to hear this stuff happen. This is the first of the casting news. I'm excited to see what happens because, we've both gone on the record to say we're big fans of this series. But they've got to get the casting right.
Yes. Yeah, they do. Oh, man. This is going to be a really interesting show to cast because, it's crude, but it's so, heartwarming too.
Yeah.
To actually find the right, characters and people to fill these roles, it's going to be a really tough job.
Yeah, well, if you look at what Erin Moriarty has done before, so if you don't remember, she was the young girl in Jessica Jones that was kind of possessed or if under control by Kilgrave, if that's what you want to call it.
I guess.
Under control? Something like that. whatever it is, mind controlled. So that was her. So, you know, she kind of played that kind of, you know, sort of sweet, innocent, tormented kind of thing fairly well, which very much suits this particular character. So I think it's good, but I am interested to see what happens. Hopefully this opens up the floodgates to more and more casting news as we go.
Absolutely. Now, do we have like any, I guess, news on what this has to be an R-rated show?
You would have to assume so. There's like, you couldn't do this show justice if you did it for anything less, purely just because of the, you know, like it's you know, like graphic sexually, it's graphic violence-wise.
Very graphic.
You know, the language is quite graphic. It's all quite graphic.
It's a very graphic novel.
Yeah. So like, if it's not an R rating, I don't think you're doing it justice.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you. So hopefully they do that. One last one.
One more.
Paramount Pictures has announced a handful of release dates for their upcoming Hasbro-based films. There's a new G.I. Joe reboot, which releases on March 27, 2020. There's Micronauts coming on October 16th, 2020. Dungeons & Dragons on July 23rd, 2021. And an untitled Paramount Hasbro film on October the 1st, 2021. Now, this is all part of the recent distribution deal between Paramount Studios and Hasbro, as Hasbro looks to set up its own cinematic universe based on its toy line.
Yeah,
obviously
right.
Kicking off already with you know, Transformers and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
They've still got that going. There's a couple of old G.I. Joe movies that they had, but those ones apparently, yeah, this is a dead set reboot. It's not the third in the series of these, you know, the Rock and Channing Tatum G.I. Joe movies.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles part of this universe?
I don't believe so.
Really?
Yes, but don't quote me on that. Why?
Just wondering, because I thought they were a Hasbro title as well.
Maybe someone out there can let us know, but I didn't think so. But I know they were looking at kind of doing, you know, all these weird crossovers and stuff like that. Like, I know they wanted to do a G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover, which unfortunately apparently has been shelved. So, you know, it's kind of, whether it is or it isn't, I don't have the answer for you, my friend. I don't know that. But who wouldn't want to see, like, you know, the Micronauts take on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, that would be great.
Just random.
One thing that I noticed in there is the Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Now this is going to be a mess, I feel.
Yes.
Like, you know, there's actually, you know what, there's hundreds and hundreds of Dungeons and Dragons podcasts out there that are uber successful.
Yep.
However, Dungeons and Dragons is kind of being beaten to the punch by Stranger Things.
Yeah, sort of. But do you remember the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out, like, I want to say 10 years ago, but it was probably 20? Do you remember that movie? No one does.
No.
But it came out and it was terrible. It was another one of these, you know, these sort of gaming adaptations that just failed kind of miserably. I'm sure it has its fans out there, so don't at me, but, you know, it's just one of those things that it failed, unfortunately. Same with Warcraft. I think it was last year or the year before, where, you know, some people loved it, most people didn't, and it wasn't very accessible to the people that didn't play Warcraft, et cetera, et cetera. So it's another one of those things. I completely agree. I don't think Dungeons and Dragons will be a hit. Micronauts, that's a weird one. It's kind of like baby Transformers.
Yeah.
You know, Micronauts, like they're little, like tiny little robot things that have, like, you know, thousands of points of articulation so you can make them break dance and all that sort of stuff. But other than that, like, they're kind of just, you know, they're like the poor man's Transformers.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it. Maybe they're going to cross over into, like, the Transformers universe.
Maybe. Who knows?
That'll be so weird. Maybe all the Transformers are millions of Micronauts.
Oh, man.
We're getting deep.
I am looking forward to the G.I. Joe reboot, only because I love G.I. Joe so much as a kid, and it doesn't matter how old I get, I still love G.I. Joe, even though I really didn't like those two movies that they brought out previously, but that's probably because The Rock was in it.
How would you fix it? You'd take away all that techie stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just needs to be, like, just make it for what it is. Like,
go back to your roots.
Yeah, it's just like balls to the wall, like action. It's good guys versus bad guys. It's like, don't try to, I don't know, man. I mean, you've got to base it around the right characters and all that sort of stuff as well. It's got to be cast well. Don't put The Rock in it just because The Rock is an action star. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's one of those things that I think if they just try to keep it fun and they don't try to take it too seriously, I think it'll be fine. All right, for this week's show, we are rehashing last year's top 10 Christmas movies.
Yes.
No, we're not.
Damn.
We're not. It's Star Wars: The Last Jedi. God damn it! This movie, whether you love it or you hate it or you fall somewhere in the middle, it is the biggest thing on the planet. Everybody is talking about it right now. So obviously, we're going to get in there and we're going to talk about it ourselves. We're going to try to cut through the shit. I think we're probably, I'm looking at your face, I feel like we're going to have some differing opinions here. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, look, this is one of those things that, look, I'll just put a little bit of a warning at the top. I think that, movies are subjective, you guys. So like it's... One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So
you know what I mean. That's not me calling the movie trash, by the way. That's just the saying. So yeah,
you're going to get in trouble this episode, mate. People are coming for you. I've already seen the line.
I guarantee it, man. But that's okay. We're going to get into it anyway. I don't really, I don't care because I want people to hear my point of view.
Okay.
All right. So why don't you tell them what the movie's about, as if they don't know?
Rey develops her newly discovered abilities with the guidance of Luke Skywalker.
Skywalker.
I'm killing it today,
He works
man.
in the sky.
Yeah, that's only where he works.
Wow, the most iconic character, and you've butchered it. You've butchered it already.
Oh,
You've butchered it worse than Rian Johnson butchered it.
Hey, we
that's
haven't
not
got
what
that
I
far
thought.
yet. Anyway, he is unsettled by the strength of her powers. Meanwhile, the Resistance prepares to do battle with the First Order again.
As they do. That's kind of what always happens.
It's what they do.
Yeah. Look, so obviously we've got Daisy Ridley, Mark Hamill, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Carrie Fisher, Andy Serkis, Domhnall Gleeson, Kelly Marie Tran, written and directed by Rian Johnson. We've got to talk about the critical reception because this is part of the big...
This is the interesting part.
This is the interesting part about this whole thing. So currently, as I wrote this, has an IMDb score of 8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 93% certified fresh, with that pesky audience score of 57, which is I think it's the lowest of all the Star Wars movies.
Is it really?
I believe so. It's got a Metacritic score of 86 and a cinema score of A, which would tell you that the movie has been quite well received, except for that audience score from Rotten Tomatoes. A bit of controversy around that, though.
Absolutely. Now, Troy, this had a massive opening. Opened to $220 million, which was the second biggest of all time.
Yeah, so that's its basically its domestic opening only, obviously, because it opened to 400 and something, I think it was. I can't remember exactly what it was in its opening weekend worldwide, which is mental.
That's huge.
Had a domestic total of 261 million. As I wrote this, naturally, it has gone up again. Worldwide, 536.5 million, but it has crossed the $600 million mark as we speak.
Wow.
And apparently is on track to cross $800 million by just after Christmas.
That's insane.
Which is mental.
Now, that's insane. Now, what's insane is we don't know the budget for this movie, so this could not be in the black yet.
I would say it would be, but I'd say this budget is pretty damn high.
It would be massive. And not only that, we also have to take into account the marketing budget because this thing has been thrown in your face everywhere you look.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say, I would comfortably say upwards of the $300 million-ish, Justice League type of budget.
Yep.
But this, this movie has doubled that in the space of a week. It's not struggling.
No, not at all.
It's not going to struggle. It's going to hit $1 billion. I don't think it's going to do the Force Awakens money, but I'm interested to see its legs over the coming weeks. So opening weekend to second weekend to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, just to see if this word of mouth, this fan backlash, if you will, if you haven't heard about it yet, I don't know where you've been. You obviously haven't been on the internet because it's out there. But to see if that actually is having an effect. But so far, this movie doesn't look like it's really slowing down. So we'll see how we go.
Well, what's interesting about it is the people who have, I guess, mixed feelings or mixed reviews on it actually go back multiple times.
Yeah.
To kind of flush these feelings out a bit more.
Yeah. Where there are other people that'll just downvote a movie before they've even really seen it. So
that's hating for the sake of hating.
There are those people out there. I saw it twice. I saw it twice within the week because first time I knew it was just going to be fanboy.
Yeah.
I was just going to be there with my fanboy goggles on, just squealing the whole time, no matter what was happening. And then, obviously I I went and I read some reactions and all that sort of stuff, and I got into both sides, like the the praise and the backlash and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, okay, well, I know where I fall, but I want to go back and see it again just to see if I can see these things. So that's why I watched it a second time. You saw it once?
I only saw it once. Did going back for the second time change anything for you?
I would say that it reinforced my beliefs from the first time around.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and we may as well get into some discussion about the movie.
Yep.
So we're going to do about 10 minutes-ish of non-spoiler discussion, just in case you haven't seen it yet, which is crazy. You should go out and see it and just make your own mind up about it. So I'll kick it off.
Yeah, go
if
for
you
it.
want. I loved it. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely loved it. I can appreciate where some of the fan backlash is coming from. I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it. This movie doesn't hit any of the marks that you think it's going to hit. And because it doesn't hit those marks, it takes you back a little bit. You're kind of like, oh, okay, so that's just done now.
Yep, absolutely. And that's one thing that I noticed in this movie is you went in there like with this preconceived idea of what's going to happen. Well, not just a preconceived idea, like 2 years of like theorizing, being on Reddit and like trying to like figure out like who is Snoke, who are Rey's parents, what has Luke been doing, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. And nothing goes the way that you think it's going to.
Yeah. So there is, and we can't go too much into it without getting into spoilery territories, but it's the fact that this movie takes those chances and does some of the things that it does, why I appreciate it so much. I think the best way I can describe it is that it's the most non-Star Wars-y Star Wars movie, and because of that, that's the success behind it, in my opinion. It's doing things that you haven't seen before. And let's be honest, I know there is 40 years of like fan love for this thing, but we've got to move on in the sense of this is like we're now 40 years on. We're moving into a new saga. This is the end of the Skywalker saga, and we need to bring it into new territory. And this is kind of what this is trying to do.
And I appreciate it for the fact that it's trying to just, I guess, turn the genre on its head, which I believe that is what the director said he actually wanted to do with this movie. And he's done it. Like, he really has. This is the 9th Star Wars movie that we've got, including Rogue One.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have my movie be like the last 8.
Well, I mean, and that's the backlash that The Force Awakens got.
Yeah.
So The Force Awakens was like, oh my God, they're just rehashing A New Hope. Whereas I loved The Force Awakens, and the reason why I loved The Force Awakens is because that it did rehash A New Hope in the sense of bridging the gap of, this 40 years of like fandom again. Like, you've got people of different generations that have grown up with these movies. Some of them are just coming into it. And to come into that, like The Force Awakens is showing you, it's kind of trying to show you, it's like a love story to A New Hope. This is what people love about it. Like, this is, that sort of thing. To some, it failed. To me, like, it did what it was supposed to do. So, that's me.
Yeah. Now, one of the major problems people have with this movie is the length of it. And I don't know if we can really go into it too much, but there's like this classic Star Wars mid-movie pointless side story.
Yeah, look, there is.
It's something that is not, unique to Star Wars. It happens multiple times in other movies.
For sure. It does take you out of it a bit. Like, especially when, by the time it's all said and done, you probably could have lived without it. Like, would things have worked out without that happening? Yeah, probably.
100%.
So, it's kind of like, it's one of those things that, like, yes, it's unnecessary. And the first time I watched it, I thought the same thing. Like, I thought, this is like, why are we here? What are we doing here? Why are we trying to rescue these horse things with big ears and like all this sort of stuff? And like, it's just it's kind of like a conversation about animal cruelty and, all that sort of stuff. The second time I watched it, I didn't mind it as much. Like, I guess I knew it was coming. I knew what to expect, and it actually flowed a lot better the second time around, as kind of pointless as it all was.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And there's what I do appreciate about that whole side story is that we kind of get to visit a part of the Star Wars universe that doesn't ever really get mentioned, and it's kind of like the real world.
Yeah.
Because we have the rebellion and we have the empire.
Yep.
We don't have the normal people. Like, there's no in-betweens, really.
Yeah, pretty much. And what we're seeing when we do go into this side story is we're seeing kind of like the financiers of this war at work and how they're profiting from it. And yes, that's another message that Disney is trying to like portray, you know, war profiteering. It's not good, blah, blah, blah. We get it. But, you know, it's just interesting to see it. It's like... It's an interesting new world that they kind of try to, you know, show us. They probably could have just done it a lot quicker.
Yeah, I think so. And to be honest, they really could have went down those routes in the Solo movie that's coming out.
Yeah, probably.
I don't really need to see it in this movie. The Last Jedi, that was just... I don't know, it's just so out of left field for what was actually happening in this movie. The movie did not need it.
Yeah. I will give it to you on the length. I thought, like, you know, we're talking 2.5 hours.
It's the longest Star Wars movie.
It is, and it probably, like, I don't think it could have shaved a lot off. Like, I reckon you probably could have had this about 15 minutes shorter, and I would have been happy. Like, I wasn't uncomfortable at 2.5 hours, and I did. I watched it again within... I think it was in 3 or 4 days of each other. So, you know, I was happy to go back. I knew what I was getting into, and I still went back. So I get it. Like, the length is probably, it's a little bit lengthy. Probably could have shaved, 15, maybe 20 minutes off it. But that was it for me. Wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
All right. So how much more can we talk about before it gets too spoilery?
We are right at the limit.
Okay, so I guess what I am saying is that if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, you should most definitely go and see it. I very much enjoyed it. I think it's a great movie. It's not going to be for everybody, and I understand that, but I also think that some of the complaints, you know, it's probably you just need to, as Kylo Ren kind of says, let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Wow.
Well, it's true. Like, you know, sometimes we need to move on. Like, this isn't the original trilogy.
Yep, definitely. So, you rate it?
Yeah, I do, 100%.
Right.
You?
I am like, I'm teetering. I'm like, this is when I genuinely want a third rating system.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to hate it.
Oh. Okay. Why though? Like, what's your biggest gripe? Because you haven't really said like what you dislike about it. But
yeah, well, I think I can only say this if we go into spoilers.
Okay.
So, if you have not watched it, this is the time to turn off.
Okay. All right. We'll get into some spoilery territory now. All right. Talk to me.
It's Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
This is not Luke Skywalker, and everything that he is in this movie is not who I know Luke Skywalker to be.
Right.
This is a man who's defeated and has given up, does not want to try, does not want to repair anything. Luke Skywalker is like a beacon of hope. He's like the Superman of this universe, essentially. And what they did to him in this is unjustifiable in Star Wars lore.
Yeah and no. Like, I mean, that's just like, okay. We have these characters that we love as kids and as we're growing up and, you know, as adults, and, you know, we try to, like, we bring our kids to the original trilogy and all that sort of stuff, right? The fact of the matter is, characters have to grow.
Oh,
they have
absolutely.
to grow. They have to develop. They have to go through some shit, right? And this is basically, this is Luke Skywalker at the end of his rope. This is Batman that has given up and just started killing people because he's like, I have tried my way for so long and it keeps fucking failing. So it's the same sort of thing. This is Luke Skywalker going, hey, you know, I tried to be a good guy, and then my dad was bad, and then I got him to be good, and then shit still went wrong, and then I tried it again with my nephew, and that fucked up. And it's like, no matter what I do, there always has to be a balance with this whole Jedi thing. So no matter how good I try to be, or no matter how good I try to make, you know, this pupil or whatever, there is always going to be some evil because of it. Now, maybe it's time to just end it, because if you don't, it's just going to be the same merry-go-round over and over and over again.
I get it, but the whole thing with the Jedi is that the Force needs a balance. So, you know, there's always going to be those evil people, and we're always going to need the good guys. I mean, just because you don't say the Jedis are around doesn't mean that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but if you kill it, Like, if you dead set, like, just do whatever you can to just destroy it. Like, it doesn't, yes, you're right. Like, it doesn't mean bad guys aren't going to be bad guys. But, you know, it's your step in kind of like trying to you know, stop the problem, because it seems to be this cyclical thing that no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, no matter how good you are, and no matter how, you know, closely you follow, you know, the scriptures or whatever or anything like that, like, you're always going to fail, and there is always going to be this Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, Snoke, whoever that just pops up, and what can you do to stop it? So why not just not be a part of it? It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, I get why it doesn't. I get people, like, they wanted the Luke Skywalker from, you know, like, they've been waiting 40 years for this guy to come back.
Exactly.
And they didn't get what they wanted, and that has upset some people.
And that's kind of where I'm in that boat of people where it's just like, I wanted him to come back, him to train Rey, make her the most positive person that he can, potentially go and get Kylo Ren back onto the light side.
And then battle who?
Well, this is where this movie kind of fucked up, is Snoke.
Yeah.
He is the almighty leader, and he just kind of did nothing.
Yeah, but that's good.
I don't know. This whole thing, I mean, we waited 2 years. Like, who is Snoke? Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter who Snoke is. And that's kind of the whole point. This isn't about Snoke. This isn't the Snoke story. This is the Kylo Ren story. This is the Rey nobody story. Like, she's not a Kenobi. She's not a Skywalker. She's just some kid. She is some kid whose drunken parents left her behind, and, you know, now she's a fucking hero, which is amazing. It's their story. And this is the kind of thing that like, you know, I would want people to try to understand, is that we are trying to move beyond the Skywalker saga.
Oh,
this isn't Luke's final moment. Like, you know, as amazing as his final moments in this movie were, this isn't his final moment. Like, you can guarantee this guy is going to be back for episode 9, and he's going to have, like, a very, like, I would say a very big part in, you know, how Rey becomes who she is meant to be.
Can we just talk about Luke's final moments in this movie?
Yeah.
That guy's a little bit vain.
Well, but that's kind of the point.
No. Here's the thing, though. He's a little bit vain because he changed his appearance to be a lot better looking than what he is in real life.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think what he's trying to do is he's giving Kylo Ren the image that Kylo Ren knows. You know what I mean? He hasn't seen Luke for X amount of time and all that sort of stuff. He doesn't know what he's become. It's like, this is me when you were with me. Do you know what I mean?
You reckon it's that? Or you think, like, he's kind of going back to his high school reunion? He's like, yeah. He's pulled out the hair dye, the beard dye, he's cleaned himself up a little bit.
Look, I would like to think that it's more just, yeah, it's like, you know, you need to see me for how you remember me. Otherwise,
I like that.
Yeah.
I do like that.
However,
I like to think the vain story's a little bit better.
Yeah, look, it's you know, it could be a little bit of that.
You know,
maybe he didn't like.
It's kind of like Instagram
around the
and
face.
Instagram versus real life.
It's like Snapchat versus Snapchat, but with filters.
Yeah.
Look, I get it. I love that whole final scene though. That whole showdown. When I first saw it, and, you know, Kylo Ren's basically got the AT-AT walkers and the camel walkers, whatever they're all called. You know, firing all their sort of like training all their fire on him there, and he just walks out and kind of like just brushes off his shoulder. Like, how can you not be happy with that kind of final like showdown?
Oh no,
for your character.
I thought it was quite amazing. The thing is, you just like triggered a memory here. Is him like just kind of brushing his shoulder off. What do you think of the comedy in this movie? Because this had a lot of jokes through it and a lot of like comedic setups.
Look, I think most of it landed for me. Like, I think because the second time I went, again, like, you know, talking about like seeing it twice and all that sort of stuff, but the second time I went, like, I still found some of it funny. And I think that's kind of the point, like, where you know the humor is good, is that when you see something on multiple viewings and you're still laughing.
Yeah.
And did it happen all the time? No. There were some things that probably didn't land as much as they could have landed. But I think for the most part, like, I was pretty happy with it. I know it's a little bit out of place. I'm assuming you're different.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, but it just seemed like it was kind of shoehorned into what this universe is. Like, I don't really go into these Star Wars movies looking for the humor and things like that. I mean, we got that in Rogue One with Darth Vader actually like throwing a joke out to Mendo.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the internet like blew up about that because, you know, he's a serious guy. He's not going to have like little one-liners.
Yeah, but here's the thing about the internet. The internet is going to, like, you could give them fucking gold on a gold platter and say, here is the gold that you asked for. And they will say, I don't like that gold. That's not the gold that I had in mind.
I wanted rose gold.
I wanted it like a different kind of gold. The internet hates you, and the internet hates everything that you love. So that's kind of how you look at the internet. Let's talk about Kylo Ren and Rey. I think this was like their connection with the Force, right? So how they could like communicate with each other and stuff like that. Personally, I thought it was really well done.
I thought it was great.
Like, I like the fact that it was a choice by Rian Johnson to have it as kind of peeled back as it was. So not trying to make it so you're seeing Rey in Kylo Ren's surroundings and you're seeing Kylo Ren in Rey's surroundings. It was literally just, you know, people staring beyond the camera, talking, and then cuts, and then seeing the other person. He wanted it that peeled back. He wanted it to have that effect. And I think that real understated, you know, sort of his take on that was really well done. And I thought one of the jokes that like maybe probably didn't land as much is when you see Kylo Ren shirtless.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Harry High Pants.
Harry High Pants. Ben Swallow.
Yeah, holy.
That dude was jacked. But it's kind of like, you know, oh, don't you have a cowl? Like, that probably, I kind of like, initially I thought, you know, you probably don't need to like make reference to it or anything like that. But then, you know, the whole point behind it is so you get to understand what they can see.
Exactly. Yeah. And I thought that was a really, really fun and like little cheeky way of doing that.
Yeah. Cool. So I liked it. So their relationship is interesting.
It is.
So there were a couple of moments there where I genuinely thought, all right, one of them's going to turn. Like, whether it was Ren or whether it was like Rey, sorry. Whether it was Rey or whether it was Ben, one of them I thought was definitely going to turn.
Well, I thought Kylo Ben. My goodness, you're throwing all these names at me. Kylo Ren, I thought he was going to turn. 100%.
He's Ben Solo to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll always be little Ben Solo. I thought he was 100% going to turn as well. Then I thought Rey might turn. Like, I genuinely, for a moment there, thought that they were going to take Rey down the dark path.
Yep.
There was legitimately a moment where I thought, holy shit, they're going to take Luke Skywalker down a dark path.
Yes.
Like, I thought that was coming, and I would have been all for that. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, people would have like absolutely shat their pants, and not in a good way. But I would have been all for it. Like, if that's how you want to take the character, and then it's Luke Skywalker versus, you know, Ben and Rey.
That would have been amazing. I think that's how this movie should have ended. It should have ended with, like, Kylo Ren and Rey just like disbanding from whatever they're doing. Like, you know, Kylo Ren's given up on the Empire. Rey's given up on the rebels.
Yeah.
And Luke's just like, what the?
Yeah.
Let's get you, baby.
Can you imagine the fan backlash, though, if they had have kind of tried to paint, and they did at times. They effectively tried to paint Luke Skywalker as the bad guy. I wouldn't have minded.
I would have loved it. I would have loved it. That's character development, Troy.
All right, now let's talk about Snoke for a second, because this is one of the ones that has kind of pissed a lot of people off. I thought this was handled brilliantly.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I did, man. Yeah, I love the fact that it actually doesn't matter who Snoke is. Like, it literally doesn't.
Well, that's like effectively what this whole movie was about. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
Which is kind of depressing, mate.
Well, it's not depressing because, like, let's think about it then from the aspect of Rey. So this is kind of like, this is basically saying, you know, there's a scene in this, and let me tell you, that's one of the best scenes in this goddamn movie, is where it is basically Kylo Ren and Rey battling the Praetorian Guards or the Imperial Guards or whatever they are. Absolutely brilliantly handled. The whole thing, like, even when I think it was when Kylo Ren first had his first meeting with Snoke, and he kind of chucked the shits, and he stood up like he was going to get like he was going to get angry, and Snoke just like fucks him up straight away. But then the guards in the background or like jump to action, like they're ready to go. I'm like, holy fuck, those things are cool as shit.
Yeah, if I was to ever do a cosplay, that's what I would do.
Oh, hell yeah. And then later on down the track, we finally get the payoff where we get this epic, like, Kylo Ren, Rey fight scene with these guards, the whole lightsaber through the face thing.
Kind of feel like Rey wouldn't have a chance against those guys.
Nah, man. See, this is like another point that has been brought to my attention. It's like, how is Rey so good, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
Why is she able to do the things that she's able to do?
And it's kind of justified. I mean, it's like she's had half an hour of training.
But you don't know that. That's the problem. You like the timeline could be broken. Like, you don't, just because what's happened, like what we've seen with the Rebels has happened in this amount of time, doesn't necessarily mean that what we've seen with Luke and Rey on the island happened in this amount of time.
Well,
let's not forget the fact that she's also very well versed with the use of her staff, which we've already seen in The Force Awakens. There's plenty of things that could go on. She's also incredibly powerful with the Force. She could be one of the most powerful people we've seen so far. We don't know that yet. So there are plenty of reasons. Like, you know, it's not like she... Like when you... All right, let's look back at the little fight scene, the tiny little fight scene that she had with Luke on the island.
Yes.
And it was her staff versus him with a fucking stick or like a broken antenna. And he fucked her up until she grabbed the lightsaber and kind of took him off guard because he wasn't sure what was going to happen. It's not like she bested Luke. Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't like she's not going, like, you know, toe-to-toe with Luke, or she's not going toe-to-toe with Vader, or she's not going toe-to-toe with Snoke or whoever, or Mace fucking Windu, anything like that, you know what I mean? She's just going against some guards. That's like, you know, you being pretty good at fighting and fighting some security guards in a club.
I think it's a little bit different.
Maybe, but I get it.
Yeah.
But what I was getting at is the fact that Rey, with her non-parentage, in the fact that, you know, hey, guess what? Rey is not a Kenobi. She's not a Skywalker. She's not Qui-Gon Jinn's ex-neighbor's fucking, you know, maid's dog's previous owner.
Well, you know what? To be fair, I'm not sold on this yet.
You still don't think it's as it is?
Nah.
Look.
Because it wasn't flushed out enough. All we got was Kylo Ren saying, you know who you are.
Yeah.
You're nothing.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
No, because he did say your parents were like junk traders and they were alcoholics and they left you behind. And that's kind of all you are. Now, to me, that's a more powerful message than saying you're a Skywalker or, you know, you're a Kenobi or you're someone like you're of this lineage of, you know, great heroes and stuff like that. It's like, no, you're a nobody, but you still have the ability to be the greatest hero in the galaxy. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can still do it. Imagine that message to your kids, man. Just the generations of people. It's not saying you don't have to be a prince. You don't have to be a princess. You can just be you and still change the world.
All right, Kevin Smith, let's move on. Let's talk about Finn.
Finn. Now, Finn and Rose.
Wow. This made for the most awkward scene I've ever seen in a movie.
The kissing scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like Finn was ambushed.
He was ambushed.
No, I mean, like it wasn't in the script for her to kiss him. That's what I mean.
Maybe John Boyega's just like, hey, what?
Whoa.
She's just trying to get a little bit of action in.
Yeah.
Look, I think it played out well because, like, you've got to understand, Finn was born into the First Order, basically.
Yeah.
He's never kissed a girl. I'm pretty sure sleepaway camps for young First Order stormtroopers or whatever aren't necessarily all, you know, hookups and sexy times and campfire marshmallows or whatever it is that kids do these days. But do you know what I mean? Like, it would have been a thing. Like, it's like, I've never actually kissed a person before. In fact, the first sort of person that I've seen that I've felt something for is Rey. And you're literally almost the second person that I've seen. So yeah, like I get the awkwardness.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they didn't do it.
I totally wish they didn't do it.
Like, you know, they had a good connection.
Absolutely.
And I think they could have just kept that. And I think the kiss kind of like, you know, it's like, you know, doing the things for those we love. And then she kisses him. And it's kind of like, well, do you have to force that?
Yeah.
Like
the scene had no feeling to it. It was like, it was a nothing moment.
There was no sexual tension. She was literally almost comatose.
Yeah.
And with her almost dying breath, decided that she was gonna like lay one on Finn.
Yeah.
And he was not ready for it.
No, not good at all.
Now let's talk about their side story for a sec, because this is what we were alluding to earlier. This is kind of this separate mission that didn't really need to be had at all. Like literally none of it. It was kind of almost to the point where it's like, how are we going to get Finn back on a First Order ship so he can
Phasma?
Yeah,
and that's all it was. Now I don't know where I read it, might have heard this somewhere, that a theory that not a theory, a way it should have been done is that Rose could have been the hacker.
Yeah.
And Finn and Rose just sneak onto the ship to do the hacking. Like, they didn't need to go to the casino planet. They didn't need to find
Benicio del Toro.
Exactly. They could have just had a good little heist.
Yeah.
Moment. Like, do that. Like, this side story meant absolutely nothing.
Well, it actually, in the end, meant nothing, because it wasn't even integral to them, because as we know, Holdo, who took over from Leia when she was comatose, which we'll talk about very shortly as well, she had a plan the whole time.
Yeah.
And the plan was fine. And at some point, if she had have just gone, hey, everyone, this is the plan, none of this extra stuff would have happened or would have even needed to happen.
Yep.
Now, I will say this, though, like I said earlier, when I saw it the second time, I didn't mind that much. I thought it was fine. It's like, okay, it's cool. It's a little bit of a getaway. It's taken us away from this thing. I think the thing that saved it a bit is that it kept cutting between a couple of stories. So it wasn't necessarily just 20 minutes of us on the casino island or whatever you want to call it. It was kind of interspersed with scenes of, we're back on the ship and we're back with Poe and we're back with Rey on the island and, all that sort of stuff. So that helped it a bit. Do you think Benicio del Toro's character is going to come back and have his moment of glory? Or do you think it's honestly like, hey, we just met this character, he just fucked you up, now he's gone?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we might see him in maybe the Solo story. Maybe meet him, a younger version.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, potentially.
I just feel like he's in that scumbag world.
Yeah.
So
potentially.
Yeah, I think
he'd have to be quite young, though.
Yeah.
Quite young. Because Harrison Ford, as Han Solo in The Force Awakens, is a 70-year-old dude.
Yeah.
So,
he could be a young guy, mate.
Yeah, it could be.
It can happen.
Who knows? What haven't we spoken about? Leia.
Poe. No, we're up to Poe, mate.
Poe.
This guy got put in his place.
Oh, damn.
And I like it. This guy, he's reckless, mate. You're going to get people killed up there.
He's Maverick.
Yeah.
Or is he Goose?
Is he Goose? He's one of
He's
them, mate.
Iceman.
He's the Iceman.
He's the Iceman, for sure. He's Val Kilmer in Top Gun. Look, this is like... Let's talk about the opening scene for a second there, because this... I know there's people like, and I know you're one of them, goddammit, but like bombs shouldn't drop in space and all that sort of stuff.
Oh my God, don't even get me started on the science of this whole scene. I know it's fucking Star Wars, it's a space opera, but mate, they're in space, there's no gravity, those bombs aren't going to fall.
Can I ask why you weren't so incensed behind the science of Power Rangers?
Because it's Power Rangers.
This is Star Wars. It's sci-fi fantasy, my friend. Like, you can't pick and choose. Like, oh yeah, it's totally cool that fucking giant robots will interconnect and make an even bigger robot.
Well,
and like,
that
there's
can happen.
people inside the robots, and all this is cool. That's completely normal. But bombs shouldn't drop in space because science. Now,
no, there's so many things that
there are a lot of things, but it's also in a completely separate galaxy to us. So you know what that means?
No,
you
Troy.
don't understand the physics of said galaxy.
Oh, okay. Is that how it works?
But that's how it works.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's how galaxies work.
I like how the light beams were also bending.
That's fine.
They had the arc of their lasers.
Hey, again, you don't know how this works. This is stuff that has been happening since A New Hope, though. This is the thing. Like shoddy science is not new to this world, so we can't just
because Star Wars isn't 100% accurate. It's no Star Wars to me.
Well,
mate.
then there has been no Star Wars. The fact that you can hear spaceships in space, for starters.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
So
I know.
let's move past the shoddy science. We'll be here all day.
It just kills me that they're in these open spaceships, and they're just breathing.
Well, I think it kind of makes some sort of sense that maybe, now just hear me out.
Oh, okay.
Maybe these ships with, they have force fields and stuff like that. So could it not be essentially that they have their own kind of, environment sort of protective?
So it's kind of like,
layer.
they've got their own ozone layer.
But do you know what I mean? Like, it's like there is the potential that the shields can, kind of like stop that from happening.
Look, someone in our listener community said this, like something very similar, but then I also remembered there was scenes of people with face masks on for breathing.
I think it was for talking.
No.
I think it was for communication with each other.
Troy, this is fucking Star Wars, mate. They don't need little...
Look, I don't know. I don't have the answers. To me, like, these are things that you dead set have to suspend your beliefs in science and physics and all
I'm
that
just
sort of stuff.
nitpicking, mate.
Yeah, look, but the opening battle was brilliant.
Absolutely.
And honestly, like, probably one of the best opening battles I've seen, or not opening battles, but one of the best sort of space battles I've seen in some time.
Yeah, definitely.
It was well done. But we're talking about Poe, and this is where we first see Poe, and we first see Poe kind of like dead set disobeying a direct order from Leia, his general, and just going, nah, fuck it, we're doing this thing now. We're going to blow some shit up. And hundreds of people died, I'm going to assume.
Hundreds, mate.
And he seemed completely okay with it.
Yeah.
He was like, nah, that was the right move. And it's like, actually, I'm pretty sure we could have done this without killing hundreds of people. But that's cool. But I liked his, not so much arc in the sense of, like, he was still the same dude by the end of it. But he almost became the leader he was destined to be by the end of it. With the kind of, it's kind of like the blessing that he got from Leia at the end, where she's like, what are you all looking at me for? Follow him. Sort of thing. So I think he finally got there.
To be fair, he was like, let's run down this tunnel.
Well, yeah.
I don't think that's a pretty safe decision.
Well, look, there's like, you've got a couple of options, right?
You can run out the front or you can run out the back.
And, like, you don't know. Leia might have been thinking the front was the right option.
You know what? I can't deny that might have been an option.
Right. But anyway, so like he had his kind of, his moment. And this is kind of like the whole reason all of this shit happened is because he just kind of refused to just sit down.
Yeah.
It's like, Poe, you need to just sit and listen to your superiors and shit will work out fine.
He's kind of that guy at work who thinks he's better than the boss.
Yeah. And then, shit happens and he realizes, oh, actually, like, the boss is the boss for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how to fix this now.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Can you take care of that?
Yeah. So he gets obviously, put in his place by Leia, Holdo, everyone. Now, I want to talk about this hyperspace scene where it's kind of like the resistance are finally starting to escape and all that sort of stuff, but they're starting to, the First Order ship is tearing them to pieces as they're finally almost getting to Crate. And then we've got Holdo, who's just got this idea of like, all right, well, one last stand, let's go. And shifts the thing into hyperspace, boom, straight through the First Order ship.
This is the best thing I've ever seen in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
It was
brilliant.
Amazing.
From the look, from the lack of sound, from, there's like a good 10 or 15, no, it might not be that long, but there's a good chunk.
It felt timeless.
Yeah, there's just a good chunk where there's no sound.
Yep.
And it worked so well. And that is like, that's, you can say what you want about the story, but the look of this movie was fucking mint.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like that should have been Leia's goodbye.
Yeah, look, I do agree, and I have heard that theory as well. Why couldn't they have put Leia in the ship and had it? But the fact of the matter is, her story was done in this movie. Like, she had wrapped shooting.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they probably could have gone back and like CGI'd some shit and like kind of tried to make it happen and all that sort of stuff. But it's just it probably didn't make sense at the time. It's like, let's play this out.
Absolutely.
And let's see what happens. Because her scenes were wrapped. She was finished by the time this movie was done. Like, she got every single scene she was supposed to do. The scene where you see her floating out in space, like, that was the bit where I thought, oh shit, is that how they're going to do this? But then, you find out, obviously, that she's still alive and all that sort of stuff. We'll get to that in a sec. But it's kind of like, all right, cool. Obviously, they have a plan. But do they? Who knows? Who knows? Let's talk about that for a sec. The
Mary Poppins scene?
The whole Mary Poppins / Superman scene.
That didn't land with me. I hated it.
Look, honestly, one of the things that I didn't really like about the movie at all was this scene.
It just really took you out of it, and you're just sitting there, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. We know Leia is Leia,
yes.
And we know she's amazing, and she deserves all the coolest moments in the history of Star Wars. this wasn't it.
No.
Like this, whatever, like whoever made the decision to do this thing, like it just came off as like forced and cheesy and weird, and there was no explanation. There was no context.
Exactly.
There was, it was kind of like, yes, we know Leia is powerful, like she has Force abilities and all that sort of stuff. Haven't really seen much outside of like, her connection with Luke and Han and, this, that, and the other. So she's obviously Force sensitive, but we've never seen this survive in space.
Yeah.
Force yourself back to a ship. Super uber powerful shit like that. And then it's just never kind of spoken about again. So that either says to me that it's just really poor writing for that particular scene, or there is no context in the fact that, oh, this is just shit that these people have seen already. Like they know that she can do these things and all that sort of stuff. So that was pretty shit for me.
It might be one of the things that you get in the books or in the comics or something
maybe,
like that.
Maybe. And like I've gone on the record to say that like my knowledge of Star Wars doesn't extend that far outside of the movies.
Absolutely.
Seen all the movies 100 times each, but as far as, that sort of thing, I don't really stray that far from it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the battle on Crate.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like this.
That was cool, man.
The whole planet was like... The whole, like, just the whole look of the planet, like with the red earth, it was salt or whatever it was. Old mate just licking the ground, going, that's salt. That's weird.
It is. They did it so you didn't think it was Hoth.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, hey, this isn't snow.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason.
Yeah, right. Okay. Fair enough. But
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
sure
maybe you just should have had red.
maybe they could have just called it the Salt Planet Crate.
Yeah.
Like you probably don't need to have a dude actually going out of his way to lick the ground and go, hey, that's salt.
Thanks, man.
And then have Rogue One director Gareth Edwards next to him going, sweet.
Cool.
Thanks.
I wonder why it wasn't freezing.
Yeah, but I really love the look of that whole thing. And then like there's a couple of shots where it's just, Imperial walker after walker after walker in there, sort of like you've got on one side, you got Luke Skywalker standing on the other side, kind of like staring him down. Plenty of different things from this thing that just are absolutely brilliant. Crystallized foxes, not so much.
Yeah, I don't dig that. I didn't dig the mini cannon thing that they had.
Oh, yeah.
I was very unimpressed with the size of the hole that put into the mountain.
Well, yeah, considering I think Finn said that it was going to crack those doors like an egg.
Yeah.
Kind of like, wow.
It just put a
It
little
put a
bit of a
hole in
like,
there.
just big enough for like a couple of guys to walk in.
But they were charging it for a second go. They were going to get into it again.
Yes, that's fair.
It's kind of like that's why Luke walked out and said, can I just ask for a sec? I'm jumping around a bit, but did you think they were going to kill off Finn? Because for a second there, I dead set thought they were going to kill off Finn.
I thought he was going to have a hero sacrifice there.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't. I like that kid.
Yeah, but I was so pissed what Rose did.
It could have killed them both, let's be honest.
Yeah, well, why didn't Rose bump him out of the way and make the sacrifice?
Well, no one needed to make the sacrifice. That was the point.
Yeah, true.
They were kind of saying, let's not do this. You know what I mean? And then Finn's like, no, fuck you guys. I'm having my Poe moment, and this is happening. And then Rose is like, no, I'm going to have my Poe moment. This isn't happening. And then she crashes her ship into his. Like I said, all could have died, could have gone terribly. And luckily, it turns out that she's just also comatose.
Yeah.
A lot of comatose in this movie.
It's contagious, I think.
It is contagious.
Yeah.
But I really, like I said, I loved... If we're going to touch on anything, just quickly before we wrap it up, Rian Johnson's direction. Now, story or what, I liked it. I liked the way he took the characters, your beloved characters. I get it. I get things didn't go the way you wanted. I know you wanted to see things differently, but guess what? It didn't happen. This is what we've got. I loved what we've got. I absolutely love the direction they've taken these characters, and I want to see more, and I will be one of the first people lining up for episode 9 when it comes. And Rian Johnson's own trilogy when he gets started on his. The direction of this movie and the look overall, like this is a beautiful Star Wars movie.
Absolutely. Most definitely. I agree with you on that. What do you think of... I got one more question.
Okay.
Yoda.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just straight up no good.
Why?
I know, it was original puppet.
Yeah, that's good.
I didn't dig it, man.
What?
Yeah.
This is kind of like...
Yoda is a weird looking dude already, and he
Yeah.
just looked even weirder.
But this is kind of the turning point of Luke Skywalker. Like this is the point where Luke's like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna burn this shit down. And this is gonna be the end of the Jedi and stuff like that. And then Yoda pops up out of nowhere and he's like, you know what? bang, burn it down. It doesn't fucking matter. This isn't what's important. What's important is what the master teaches the student. And one of the important things that the master needs to teach the student is failure, because failure is the ultimate teacher.
Yeah, but you know what he says.
And if he didn't have that, and if he didn't get hit on the forehead with his little like kind of, stick, he wouldn't have come to, the conclusion that, yeah, okay, cool, I need to go and join the fight. And he joined the fight in a pretty impressive way. He didn't actually have to go in there and use physical violence.
That's true.
He beat the First Order effectively as a fucking hologram of himself.
It's pretty badass.
It is.
But, Yoda would have known Rey took those books.
Well, there's talk that Luke took the books, and when he first went onto the ship, like the Millennium Falcon, he took the books and put them on the ship. But then when you watch it again, like you see that that's not possible.
Yeah.
So it had to have been Rey. So did she just steal the books?
Yeah, she did.
She just stole a bunch of books.
Yeah.
But as Yoda said, and as kind of I think Luke Skywalker might have said it as well, the books don't matter. Like they've
Did you read them?
Well, I haven't read them. Oh, that's what he said. Yeah. But the whole point is like I skimmed over them or something. But it's like there's a lot of things in them that kind of make sense.
Yeah.
But they're not the be all and end all. The be all and end all is the master and the student. Now you need to go to Rey and you need to teach her. That hasn't happened yet. So that's coming. Like that's just context for what is coming in the future, you guys. Whether it's as a Force ghost or how, even if it's just like as one of these like normal looking hologram type things, he is coming back and he's going to teach Rey.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyway.
So here's a question. When you become a Force ghost, are you effectively immortal, but you're also able to, like, you're a ghost, but you have a physical touch?
Yeah, I guess so.
So,
well,
like,
wouldn't you
just become a Force ghost like straight away and just like live forever?
Well, I don't know, man. I don't think the idea...
Maybe there's limitations. Like you can only touch 3 things.
Yeah. I don't think it's like... It's whatever you have in your inventory pack.
Yeah.
It's like you can only grab those things. But every time you pick something else up, something drops out of your inventory pack. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have the answers.
It's all these questions that I have.
Because I don't think the idea is to live forever. Like, that's not the idea of the Jedi. Like, the idea isn't like... we're so sort of kind of self-centered that we don't want to die. Dying is part of the process. Dying is giving back to the Force, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's all part of the plan. And that just happens to be a payoff. Right?
I have no words. We'll find out, I guess.
One thing I want to talk about is this is the first time they've actually kind of broken down the Force into something in the sense of like, this is how somebody sees and feels the Force. Like they can actually see things.
Yes.
Like they can see, like peace and happiness and love and destruction and decay and all that sort of stuff. And I think that was like, a lot of people don't like it. I thought that was brilliant.
I thought it was great.
I thought it was a great way to explain something that hasn't really been able to be explained before. I think it worked really well. Anyway,
let's wrap this bad boy up, Troy.
Rate it or hate it?
I'm still gonna go hate it.
Okay, that's fine.
What about yourself, Troy?
Look, it's a rate for me, and I will go on the record as to say that this was probably my favorite movie of the year.
Oh.
Now, so it has, unfortunately for you guys, overtaken Logan. Now, that means there will be no Wolverine tattoo, but the whole point is that maybe I'm like, I love the original trilogy, right? I do. I'm a huge fan. I was not a fan of the prequels, right? Even when they came out, like at the time, I wasn't blown away by it. I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty shit, dude. Hayden Christensen can't really act. How did you manage to get what's her name? I can't even remember her name now.
Someone.
What's her name? That's really annoying.
The actress's name?
The actress's name.
Oh my god.
Padme. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
This is killing me.
Come on.
Black Swan. Her name's Black Swan forever.
How about
Thor's girlfriend?
Yeah. How is that? How are we both possibly completely just out of it that we can't remember her name? This is mental.
It's just
I'm going to Google it, man.
Are you?
I'm sure this is great content for the listeners at home who are actually right now screaming her name, saying, "How are you idiots not getting that it is this person whose name still hasn't come to me yet. All right, let's go. What's an easy one? Let's go Black Swan, right? I'm on IMDb. Help me out. Natalie Portman, God
There
damn
you
it.
go.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Never heard of her.
Yeah, no. But how did they... The whole point to this was like, how did they manage to make Natalie Portman, who has been acting since she was a child, look like a shit actress? Because she's actually quite good.
Well, George Lucas was like extremely controlling of the... I guess it's not the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, okay.
So... Like,
if that's the direction that he wanted.
Imagine him like standing next to you. He's all big, all hairy. He's like, you got to do it better. It's not right.
All right. Well, if you weren't angry at this review before, you probably are now. But my whole point to all of that was that, like, while I am a massive fan of the original trilogy, and I am like, I didn't like the prequels, I am a very, very big fan of this new trilogy. I love it. I love the new direction that they're taking. I absolutely really appreciate the look of it, that 2015 and 2017 gloss. This is Star Wars for a new generation. It's not going to be what you wanted, but maybe it is better for it. Maybe.
And that's going to do it for another episode. Stay tuned. Next week's show, Troy, we are wrapping up the best of 2017.
Well, not just the best. We're doing the best and worst. We're doing it all.
We're going to do what are we going to do? We were talking about it earlier, like a Logies. No, not that's the
Logies.
Logies.
Yeah. It's like the poor man's Oscars.
Yeah.
We're doing like an Oscars. We're going to have a whole bunch of awards that we're going to hand out. It's going to be like a kind of like a best of, worst of, best performance, shittest performance.
I like it. It's going to be fun.
Et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to praise, Troy. And we're going to kind of like really tear apart some things from the year that was. And then the week after that, I think we're doing something else. I think we were going to do the year in preview. We might be talking about Jumanji.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and the other thing that we're going to do, we're going to have a little mini review of Bright from Netflix next week as well. So look out for that. Only a little 10-minute-y thing, not a big, like, however long that was that we spoke about The Last Jedi.
That was a long talk.
Long talk. So, yeah, just expect that next week. It's coming. Let's thank some people.
Let's thank the listeners, subscribers, and reviewers. You guys are still kicking goals.
Kicking goals all over the place. I just have one thing to say.
Oh, someone's triggered Troy.
Someone's triggered me. Look.
And I apologize to this person.
No, look, I genuinely... Look, we got a couple of, like, 5-star reviews, which is really nice. Right? I like that.
Okay.
We've also got a couple of 3-star reviews.
Troy, every time you do this, they win.
No, look, the thing is, this is all I want, right? Because every single review other than one that we've had that has been under 5 stars has not left any words. Leave some goddamn words. If you're going to take the time to rate us down, tell us why, how are we supposed to grow if we don't do that? Are you still listening to the show? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I do.
I hope that person is pissing their pants laughing right now.
All I just want to know why, and that's fine, because how do we better ourselves is all I'm saying. That's all it is. I'm happy just that people are interacting, my friend. I don't mind. I just need them to...
Sounds like it annoys you.
I just need them to tell me why,
okay,
so we can get better at it. Right?
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Troy, where can people find us?
They can find us on various forms of social media. That is Facebook. That's Comic Confidential. We have the Facebook listener community, which is going strong. That's Comic Confidential listener community. That's all you got to do. Search that, and we will be there. We've got Twitter and Instagram, which is at Comic Con Pod. And we also have, what are we? Our website.
That's comicconpod.com. Past episodes, future episodes, and everything in between.
Don't forget, you can also find the show on Spotify now.
Oh, yes, that's right. We're on Spotify. So if you are... Someone brought it up to me that people can listen to the show for free, like data free.
Yeah.
On Spotify, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So do that.
Yeah.
And we also have a Patreon. If you want to support the show, that's patreon.com/ComicConPod, where you can support the show for as little as $1 a month and get yourself those future episodes and everything in between. Whatever that is.
Wow.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
We're done.
Let's wrap it up.
That's it. Thanks for listening, you guys. As always, I'm Troy.
I'm Cade.
And this has been Comic Confidential.
Cheers.
Peace. Almost died right at the end.
Right at the end.
Right at the end.
It was almost seamless.
At least I made it to the end, right? Man, you know what? People are going to get so fucking angry.
With you.
Probably with me.
And me. But especially you.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. This is just one of those things where it's kind of like we are not going to please everybody. If we both had loved the movie, people would have been shit off.
You know what?
If we both had hated it, people would have been shit off.
I really like that idea of Luke Skywalker becoming effectively the bad guy. I want him to kind of go through the galaxy and start cleansing it.
Damn.
Yeah, I wanted to go dark.
So you're basically saying that you don't like the direction that Rian Johnson took for Luke Skywalker, but you would be happy if the direction was Space Hitler.
Yeah.
Holy shit. All right.
But
Space
what it is,
Hitler. Maybe someone will write a book.
I want it
Luke
to be
Skywalker, Space Hitler.
I want him to be he becomes a threat that's worse than the Empire.
Yeah, look, I get it.
It's cool.
I'm the one who said it.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just loving it.
Yeah, look, I genuinely thought that that's the way they were going to go. But
it's let's set aside our differences and go after this bad mofo.
Yeah. Yeah, man, how could they have done it? I don't know, but I think it's good. I think it's true to the characters as they stand. There is still time for them to friggin' save Ben Kenobi and have another shirtless scene for sure.
I reckon that was CGI'd, hey.
No fucking way. Have you seen Adam Driver without a shirt on? That dude is fucking jacked.
Is it?
Yep.
It's kind of like that SNL skit where he's like, I heard Kylo Ren has an 8-pack.
Yeah. Exactly.
He does.
He does.
He's guy's jacked, man.
Like I said, Ben Swallow.
Yeah, Ben Swallow.
Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's going to happen. People are going to be, I am genuinely fucking surprised that this movie has been as divisive amongst people as it has.
Yeah, but
see some of the shit that I've been seeing on the goddamn internet. I spend too much time on the internet.
Yeah, what's one thing we didn't even talk about in the movie review is that even Mark Hamill's that Luke Skywalker is just no good.
Well, that's fine, but this isn't Mark Hamill's movie.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not for him to, he doesn't own the character, nor does Rian Johnson or Lucasfilm or anything owe him or any of us anything. What they need to do is bring out a fucking movie, and they did that, and I fucking loved it. And if you didn't, you're wrong.
All right. If you love this podcast, then head over to comicconpod.com to check out the other incredible shows on our network.
You can also support us on Patreon from as little as $1 a month.
You'll get early access to all our shows, plus secret supporter content that's not available to the public.
Head over to patreon.com/comicconpod to find out more.